This is Mr. V again. Today we're going to do lesson 9 and we're going to learn how to use the Revolve tool. This is another way to make a shape 3D. You've already learned how to use the loft and the extrude. So today you're going to learn how to revolve an object. Okay, start like usual, create a new part file. We'll start a 2D sketch and we're going to make several different shapes using the Revolve. We're going to make a sphere, then just an irregular shape. And then in the last part, we're going to make a bolt. And in a later lesson, we're going to use the bolt to do an assembly file. So let's choose the XY plane. The first thing we want to do, we're going to make a circle. Let's start this at the origin. Okay. And we're going to make a sphere. So let's dimension this circle. Let's make it 8 inches. Okay. Usually when you extrude a circle like this, you've got a cylinder. Today, though, we want to do a sphere. So it's a little bit different how you do that. Okay, we've got an 8-inch circle. The radius would be 4, the diameter is 8. So now we're going to draw a line, and this is why we used the origin. I want you to make a line on the outer side of that circle. It's going to cut it directly in half. Okay, make sure you're touching here and here. Don't go over. Next, I want you to use the trim tool. We've done that before, I think in lesson 3. Trim this side of the circle. That dimension still appears, but that's okay. It's a blue line. It's not going to affect anything. Right click and hit OK. So now you have this half circle. And you want to right click, finish 2D sketch. Okay, zoom that back in where you can see it. And now I want you to hit the revolve. You have to pick the shape first, the profile. It's this half circle. Then switch here and click the axis arrow, and we're going to revolve it on this straight line axis. And you can see it's made a sphere. Okay, go ahead and change that color to something you want. See, I'll make mine purple. Okay, looks like a bowling ball now. So you have a sphere. That's one way to do the revolve. Okay, so right click, new sketch. Yeah, let's right click OK. We're going to have to make our planes visible like we did in the loft. Let's do the XY plane again, but now I want you to move this down. You've got that sphere there at the origin. Okay, and now let's make an irregular shape. Let's make a rectangle. Let's dimension it. Let's say we want it to be 6 inches here, 5 inches here. Use your pan tool to move it. Okay, so you got a rectangle there. Now let's add a circle. Nah, that's okay. Draw that circle. Let's dimension it to 4 inches. Okay, moving these circles around, right click and hit OK. You got to drag it by the center point. So let's do that. Okay, make it where it kind of intersects here. To make this universal for everyone, let's go ahead and add dimensions. Okay, from the top to the center point, let's make that 5 inches. And then from the center point to this side, I'm going to pull this down. Let's make it 6 inches. And hit OK. Alright, so now we're going to make this odd shape. Let's trim here, here, and here. We've got a lot of dimensions there, but that's okay. So right now you should have this half circle. Failed to trim the curve. Okay, I was afraid of that. What I'm going to have to do that, just get your OK and delete that dimension. Delete this dimension. The lines have not changed, so it's still the 6 inches. Sometimes you have to do that when you trim. Okay, and then you delete that, and you can see it brought that curve in a little bit, and that's okay. We don't have to worry about that. Right click, finish 2D sketch. Hit your home button, then the front. Let's revolve this as well. Okay, there's my shape. So now I can pick multiple axes. So let's do that and see what happens. On the top there, okay, you can see it made like a circle with another smaller circle on the bottom. Okay, let's say I didn't like that, so I never hit OK, hit cancel. Let's revolve it again. The shape, let's do this back side. Similar shape, just a little bit bigger. So let's go with that and hit OK. So now you have revolve that shape. You can see it's a smooth circle on the top. Then it kind of goes down. It looks like almost like a Lego pin or something like that. Okay. Let's change that color with the purple. See if it'll let me do it with just that one. It makes them both. Okay. Um, so you can choose whatever colors you want there. That's one part of the Revolve tool. It makes shapes look really good. You can make like a bottle or something like that with it. Um, if you want to really make it look good, you can always go back and add a fillet. So let's do that on the bottom here. 0.125 inches. Let's change it to, just kind of double it to 0.25 and hit OK. Okay, and let's put that rounded corner on it. Okay, so that is the part of the revolve. We're going to do something a little bit more practical with it, and it's going to look something more realistic in just a second. So save this. Do a file, save as. Make sure you're in your inventor folder. Save this as lesson 9 revolve. Let me go back and add Mr. V. Mr. V, lesson 9 revolve. And if you notice, when you put this Mr. V, it should put them all in order. Okay, if you're saving it the same and not putting spaces and things like that in it. Mr. V, lesson 9 revolve. Save that. We're going to continue on with the revolve. We're going to open a new file. And this is something you're going to use later when you learn how to do an assembly. Okay, we're going to make a bolt, actually. So let's start a 2D sketch. Let's choose the XY plane like we have been. And now we're going to do a pretty intricate drawing using the line and arc tools. Okay, make sure you get these same dimensions that I do. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to make a bolt that's about going to be 1 inch tall and a 1/2 inch in diameter. So make sure you follow along and get these same dimensions. Okay. On this side, we're going to make it 1 inch tall. And I'm going to go ahead and add this other line on the bottom too so we can add our dimensions. Okay, right click OK. That's blue. It's kind of hard to see on this one. So here we want it to be 1 inch. Zoom in there. Now, I'm going to pan down a little bit. It's going to be a 1/2 inch wide, but since we're revolving, we have to do 1/2 of a 1/2 inch. Okay, so when we dimension this, 1/2 of 1/2 is 0.25. And the cool thing about this, it will do 0.5 divided by 2. Inventor will do math for you, and it makes it 0.250. Okay, so now I want to zoom back to the front. This is 1 inch. We're not going to want this next line to be that tall, so pay attention when I dimension it. Okay. We're going to dimension this 0.75. And let's make it 0.65 actually. See how that looks. Bring it up. Let's go with 0.75. Okay. And then we're going to do one more thing. Let's add another line out here. Let's make it come out 0.4. Okay. And now we're going to connect this with an arc. So I want you to do a 3-point arc. Click here and see how it turns green. Okay, then click here, should turn green, and now you can kind of control that arc there. Let's do that. Let's see if it'll let me dimension how many degrees it is. let's see, let's delete that. Nope. Trying to dimension the arc of it. Let's see if it'll let me do it from here to here. Nope. This one you gotta love Inventor sometimes. Okay, we're not gonna worry about that. Okay, so now we've made, this is half of a bolt if you can't tell. Okay, so right click, finish 2D sketch, and now we're gonna revolve this. Okay, here's our shape, and then the axis is right here. And I made that pretty big, but that's okay. Um, let's hit OK there. Okay. And you can look and see it looks kind of like a screw. Okay, a small one, let's say it's one of the Vex ones that you use in 7th grade to build. Let's change it to some type of metal. Let's go with machined aluminum. Okay. And we're going to get pretty intricate with this. Flip it over where you can see the bottom. Okay. Kind of hit one of these corners here. Right there where you can see the bottom part here. And let's thread it. Okay, so change from hole to thread. Click right here and hit, let's see, our specification is a half inch 13 UNC, which is what we want. Hit apply there. Okay, so now you've got it thread. Okay, so now let's look at it. We've put those threads on there. Look at the front here. You can see those threads go all the way down. And eventually, we're going to do another part file, and we're going to put a bolt on there. At the bottom here, let's go ahead and add a fillet. I think it just looks better. And let's make it 0.125. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do the same thing here on the bottom of the screw head. Let's make it a little bit smaller though. You don't want it 0.125. Let's make it 0.05. See if that does anything. 0.01, because you don't want it real sharp. And hit apply there. And I think that's going to be good. Okay, and you can see those sketches on the bottom there. Don't worry about, I tried to make a hexagon and it wasn't what we wanted. Okay, so you don't worry about that. You shouldn't have that on there. Do a file, save as. Name that Mr. V Lesson 9 Bolt. And save. Okay, and we're getting pretty close to an assembly file, which is where you put multiple parts together. We'll look at that next.